Good day, welcome to Sports Cope on our live news, where we bring you the biggest sports stories making headlines across the globe. I am Amarachi Odinaka. When on the last edition, we brought to you the news of the Super Falcons' exit from the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Well, today we'll continue from there, taking a closer look at Nigeria's journey at the tournament, how the campaign unfolded, the performances, the decisions that shaped it, and the conversations that have followed the early exits of the defending champions. Well, the Super Falcons may have seen their WAFCON campaign come to an end, but their fight for a place at the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup continues. Now, the men's team, Super Eagles, have now missed the last two editions of the FIFA World Cup, and with the Super Falcons facing their own battle to reach the 2027 tournament, the pressure is beginning to mount. Well, there's a lot to talk about on the program today, but beyond the Super Falcons, we'll turn our attention to club football and bring you the developing stories from across the world of sports as the conversations continue. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll dive into the conversations we have for today. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the show. Now, for the first time in 35 years, Nigeria have failed to reach the semi-finals of the WAFCON. Let's take a look at the Super Falcons' journey at the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Now, Nigeria came into this tournament as defending champions, carrying the weight of a proud history at the continental competition. Since making their debut in 1991, the Super Falcons have remained a dominant force at the continental tournament. And this time around, the campaign took a different turn. But the Super Falcons opened their 2026 WAFCON campaign with a 3-2 defeat to Malawi, and the response was needed, and Nigeria got one against Zambia, securing a 1-0 victory against the Copper Queens. Now, the Falcons went ahead to produce their biggest attacking display of the tournament against Egypt, securing a 2-1 victory and a place in the quarterfinals. 10 goals were scored across the group stage, 5 conceded, 2 wins, 1 defeat in the Group C for the Super Falcons. But the real test was still to come, and that was where the title defense came to an end for the Super Falcons. This quarterfinals exit marked the first time Nigeria has failed to reach the last 4 of the competition, and it came at a crucial time with a place in the semi-finals, also guaranteeing an automatic qualification for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. Now, before we take a look at what went wrong in 2026, let's put back this campaign into perspective by looking at how dominant the Super Falcons have been at this tournament over the years. Now, the Super Falcons made their WAFCON debut in 1998, immediately established their dominance, winning the title on home soil. And from 1998 to 2006, Nigeria went on to win 5 consecutive WAFCON titles, lifting the trophy in 1998, 2002, 2004, and 2006, becoming the first team to win the competition 5 times in a row. Now, that remarkable run established the Super Falcons as the dominant force in African women's football. Nigeria went on to add another title in 2010. And now in 2002, the Super Falcons finished 4th after losing to Equatorial Guinea in the semi-finals and Cameroon in the 3rd place playoff. Nigeria went on to bounce back in 2014, winning the title again, before successfully defending the title in 2016 and 2018. Now, their dominance was interrupted in 2002 when the Super Falcons finished 4th after losing their semi-final to Morocco and the 3rd place playoff to Zambia. But the Super Falcons also returned on top in 2024, defeating host country Morocco in the final to reclaim their continental crown. And now in 2026, that remarkable run has been interrupted for the Super Falcons. We saw that the Super Falcons For the first time, the Super Falcons have failed to reach the semi-finals of the WAFCON. And naturally, there's been a lot to say about this campaign for the Super Falcons, from the reactions of supporters to conversations on social media. The questions have been coming from different angles. Was the team properly prepared? Was there any strategy going into this game? And when those questions are being asked, one name keeps coming up. That is the Super Falcons coach, Justin Madugu. Now, from the opening game against Malawi, questions were raised about the team's tactical approach to this particular game. Questions and some of the decisions made on the pitch. Now, before we go into this fully, let's first hear from Coach Justin Madugu, who has taken full responsibility during the post-match press conference and apologized to Nigerians following the team's exit from the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations.
I want to apologize to Nigerians over our inability to win today's game, which would have qualified us for the World Cup. It was not our intention. The ladies did the best that they could, but that's the way the game was destined to go. We apologize, and I take responsibility for that. We still have a second chance, and we will do our best to see what comes out of it.
Now, as we continue on the tactical approach, decisions made throughout the tournament, and some of the other talking points, we just heard from Justin Madugu, who took full responsibility and apologized to Nigerians following how the Super Falcons campaign at the 2026 WAFCON turned out. We'll be having a sports analyst from Morocco who has followed the actions of the team closely. They'll give us all updates after the break. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll have sports analyst Tanarami Nelly join us from Morocco. Stay with us.
I want to apologize to Nigerians over our inability to win today's game, which would have qualified us for the World Cup. It was not our intention. The ladies did the best that they could, but that's the way the game was destined to go. We apologize, and I take responsibility for that. We still have a second chance, and we'll do our best to see what comes.
Well, welcome back to Sportscope on Alive News. And as we continue with the conversations on the tactical approach, the decisions made throughout the tournament, and some of the talking points from the Super Falcons campaign at the 2026 WAFCON in Morocco, let's bring in someone who has been right there in Morocco following the action closely. Sports analyst Tanarami Nelly joins us now from Morocco, where he has been covering the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Nelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Amara.
I'm so glad to have you two on the show, Nelly. How you feeling? How you doing?
Oh, you know how it is now. It's all over the internet. We are heads down because I think we're disappointed from the last result, and also not being able to defend our trophy, and also being denied of the World Cup ticket, the straight pass to the World Cup ticket.
Okay. Well, Nelly, I would love us to go right into the conversation and, talk about the Super Falcons. I would say it's been a trying time for Nigerian supporters, and I'm sure it's been a trying time for you too. I can look at your eyes and I can see the feelings and all of that emotion. So let's go, right into it. Super Falcons came into this competition as the defending champions. 2024 WAFCON, Nigeria won in Morocco, played against the host country, and we won. Now going into this competition, the Super Falcons our journey at the WAFCON has sadly come to an end. In the quarterfinals, the first time that is happening in 35 years. Nelly, what do you think about the Super Falcons' performance at this tournament? And tell me directly from you, who is in Morocco, where do you think it went wrong for the Super Falcons?
I think it seemed like the Super Falcons that has given us beauty in performances, won the trophy for like 10 times, dominated Africa as a whole, and also representing Africa very well in the world stage. We expect them to do better. We didn't see this coming, starting from the game against Malawi, the shocker that we got by losing 3-2 to Malawi. We struggled against Zambia, but fought 3 points out, won against Egypt, what I call a friendly game. You get, and coming up against a Cameroonian side that we regularly play in friendlies, and those people decided to deny us the World Cup tickets. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just that thing that hurts. You understand? It cuts deep because of the expectations, and knowing that so many of our sections of our football has been missing out of the World Cup, starting from the Super Eagles to the under-17 to the under-20, and now drawing to the Falcons. It hurts very deep because these people are the ones this team, actually the ones that gives us joy, represents us. Like, if they wake you up from the sleep and say who is going to win between Falcons and this and that, definitely you're going to say the Falcons. But I believe this one is actually something that we actually needed to send a message to a particular body, the NFF, to know that, you guys have not been doing so well. The players or the Falcons has been the one covering the shame and incompetence of FA.
That's a very good analysis from you, and it's good to hear this insight from someone who is in the team's camp and who has seen this for sure. I saw your video on social media. I was going to talk about that before we got into the conversation. I saw your video on social media where your eyes were all red. Some people call you Daddy Super Falcons. Have you heard about that? I mean, I've seen it on your comment sections, Daddy Super Falcons with their emotions. And this a major conversation I want us to talk about today. The coach, Justin Madugu, there's been conversations on his tactics in this tournament, his decisions generally, and there's been backlash on social media, controversies on social media. I'm sure you've seen it yourself. What would you say about his tactics going into this tournament? How do you see that strategy he pulled in the Super Falcons group stage to the quarterfinals? What's your take on that?
So I would say tactically is sound. See, people only question you when whatever you plan doesn't work out. You understand? There's a saying that 99 good, 1 bad is equals to bad. You understand? Yeah. This was a coach that they employed 2 months to the previous WAFCON we won and came in to give us a Mission S glory without having too much time. You understand? The Malawi game, I blamed him in a way, but then shockers happen in tournaments like this. We saw it in the World Cup where Cape Verde was going toe-to-toes with Uruguay, Argentina, and even Spain. Are you going to be forcing that on the coaches? Now straight to Madugu's tactics. I think he's a very bold coach. You understand? A coach that when he starts something and he sees that it doesn't work, it takes a lot for a coach to say, okay, well, this thing I'm doing is not working. Let me try to find a solution. That he did against Zambia. He did against, Cameroon. You saw when he removed Rinsola that playing her in that kind of game, a physical game, will not work. So it takes a tactical experience level to be able to observe your mistake and then work on it immediately. So now people coming online to say the coach is bad, they should be out because of the game against Cameroon. On what ground will you force the coach? A team that played their best game in the whole of the tournament, the 4 games we played, that was particularly our best game. If not that we lost that game with that one mistake that happened or just that one chance that they created. Cameroonians came with a plan. It's a plan that I see around us now. Score 1 goal and lock it up. The girls did all they could do. There's nothing. I mean, you can say the ball that Esther was supposed to pass to Aziza Toshua, the most decorated African female footballer. You can force that on, but you cannot force it on the coach. So this is not a coach problem. This is an administrative problem, I believe.
Okay, Nelly, you said something there, and we're going to get to that. I was going to get to the administrative, conversations, because we've had the coach put to blame on social media. But aside from that, there are other controversies. But before I go into this administrative conversation, there's something you said. You talked about, Cameroon having a game plan, before getting into the pitch of play. Now, the Super Falcons, we both were there when the Super Falcons had their pre-WAFCON qualifiers. We were there in Togo. We saw the game in Togo. It was even against Benin Republic, and the game had to happen in Togo, And we saw how the pitch was. We saw the Super Falcons coming down to play in Abeokuta, coming down to play Senegal, pre-WAFCON qualifiers. Do you think the Super Falcons had enough preparations before going into this WAFCON?
Okay, I'll say, we didn't have enough preparation, but I said we still didn't have quality preparations, quality games. There's one thing to not have enough preparation. There's another for the preparation you had to be quality preparation, so you can cover for the windows you missed out on. You can actually drag me and say, Ghana did play against England, played against this, played against that, but yeah, they're out of the tournament. I know, we are not Ghana. We should be preparing for the level at which the Falcons are right now. We should be preparing for the WAFCON as if we were preparing for World Cup, because that's actually the target. How will you say we are going to play a tournament that is going to give us a ticket for the World Cup and we've not even tested the likes of Spain, France, Poland? Let's prepare ahead. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I think that's what happened to us. We should be preparing we should be preparing for World Cup as we prepare for AFCON. So our preparation for when you prepare for World Cup and you come to the AFCON, you have that how will I put it? That free flow football and results, because you prepared above the African standard.
Sure.
So we got too used of, no matter what, we're going to come out of the tournament with the glory.
Okay, that's
you understand?
Yes. So, continue.
So that was one of the things that actually ate us up. We were too confident, we were too relaxed. We believe it's our own. I was one of the persons that said the tournament should return to Falcons African Cup of Nations, because of that confidence of we've been dominating.
Going into the tournament, yes.
We have the most decorated country when it has the female team when it comes to continental tournaments in the world, with the number 10. So I think that's running all over our heads. So we need something like this. You can see the players, they are not even used to being in this position, being heartbroken. Yes, we're used to the semi-final, win your son. So this is a new start. This is a reality check for everybody to go and sit up. Fortunately for them, they still have another dance to dance, and hopefully the tickets comes in.
Well, hopefully we'll get that ticket against, defeating South Africa. It's really sad, I must say. It is really, really sad that at this point, in Nigerian football, we're having these conversations, seeing the Super Falcons from defending champions finishing at quarterfinals, getting off at quarterfinals and not booking that automatic WAFCON World Cup ticket. Now we have to go through different routes, playing the CAF playoff. But there's something you talked about. You said something about accountability, Now we've moved away from the Super Falcons coach. You said it yourself that you don't think the Super Falcons coach is to be blamed. Let's look at the federation. That's the Nigerian Football Federations. We also know that the elections are coming up in September. But there's one thing. Under this federation, the Super Eagles we've not been to 2 consecutive World Cups. We couldn't make it to the 2022 World Cup. We couldn't make it to the 2026 World Cup. Now the Super Falcons, who Nigerians, use as hope, a lot of Nigerians hope on the Super Falcons when it comes to international football, saying that the past 8 years, Super Eagles have not been there. Now this is happening. What do you think? About this federation? Would you put a blame on the NFF, on the way the Nigerian football has been going recently?
Okay, I will put a 99% blame on the NFF and 1% on the players, because they are the one doing the final decision. So for my 99% to the NFF, we have to start from the grassroots, from the foundation. You are having an administrative body that doesn't have a footballing background or sportsy background. Imagine giving the job of a coach to a farmer, or giving the job of a bricklayer to a bartender or a missiologist.
Nelly, hold on. You said something. I wouldn't want to cut you short. You said something. I want you to repeat that. You said, imagine giving the job to a farmer. Are you saying? I'm not trying to, put words in your mouth, but it's coming from you. You said, imagine giving the job to a farmer. Would you liken Justin Madugu to a farmer? Or would you say he wasn't qualified for the job at the time he got the job?
Imagine giving the job of a coach to a farmer.
Okay.
This is me just sending it to the administrative body, not the coach. I was just using the word coach.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that,
So let me now make it clear. Imagine giving the job of an NFF president to a lawyer or a lecturer. Because he is so connected, or he has people that are pushing him or her to get that position. Look at the likes of Liberia, Cameroon. See people representing their federation. Footballers from the past that has history in the sports, that understand the game.
Yes.
I know I'm not saying you have to play to actually be a federation representative or president, you get, but you should have background knowledge of football experience and also love the game. The development of the sport should be your number one portfolio. You are not saying just the Super Eagles or Super Falcons. Go back to our local, our domestic league. It's in shambles. Now it's rubbing off on our international stages. Under 17 missing out on the World Cup, under 20 Super Eagles straight 3 years, three times, which is about 12 years now, if I'm not mistaken, 2018, 2022, and 2026. And which is, they might even most likely miss the next 2030. You understand? So we need to go back to the foundation, making it right, putting the right persons in place that know what it means to actually rep a footballing body or a sports body.
Okay, interesting. That's well said from you. We hope with these elections coming up, we hope to see if changes are going to be made. But one thing about things like this, I am of the fair opinion that there are some, nations where if something like this happens, where we saw the likes of things that have happened in some of the other countries, right? If a national team where you have the men's not going for the World Cup in 2 editions, the women's are fighting to get a qualification for the 2027 Women's Cup. Most federations, most authorities would have resigned, and that's one conversation that's been going on. Before we move on to other African teams, Nelly, I want to ask you now: do you think this NFF federation this particular, because we've been going about the boot, but sometimes it's better to hit, to hit it straightforward and say it outright. Do you think it's time for this NFF body to pack up, and let's have, with this election coming up, let's have fresh people, I wouldn't want to pick out names, but just tell me, do you think it is time for this football body, this NFF body we have right now, to pack up and give chance for new people?
Like I mentioned earlier, I spoke about restructuring from my statement. We are into restructure. But it's not just restructuring or packing this set out. The next set, are they a duplicate of the set that you want out? Or are we bringing new people that, okay, they are into this, they love this thing, they want the growth of this thing, the nation. Because what brings us closer as one with the 240-something tribes we have in Nigeria and different ethnic groups is sports and majorly football.
Yes, true.
No joke. We are really going through a lot in Nigeria.
True.
One of the things keeping us together is sport and football. And if we cannot do that for our country, let me ease this to you. Nigerians are power drunk. A mechanic wants to take a position of a president because he wants power. He just wants to be in authority.
True.
And that's not what we actually need right now as a nation. We need people that want the growth of Nigerian sports. Because do you know how many athletes will be off the streets if we have the right persons in place? Do you know how many talents are there doing conductor?
Sure. Okay.
I, for one, am a talent that injury ended his life, 2017.
That's
yes.
Really a sad one.
Because imagine playing for a grassroots team and you're asked to pay 90% or 70% of your treatment when you even paid like 20,000, 30,000 naira.
Wow. You're asked to be paid. You have to pay for your own treatment as an athlete.
Exactly, as grassroots athletes. So how do you want to groom a country's sports sector when you don't go to the foundation, work on the foundation and potential talents, the grassroots? We always look for finished products in Nigeria. That's our problem. We don't want to groom.
Oh, that's interesting. We hope to see. That was well said. And sorry about what happened with your career and all of that. And I mean, I'm glad that you're also still in the football industry and doing amazing with what you're doing. Now let's move on from the NFF. We hope to see how that turns out. It's really sad. And if we are on that topic, it gets broader and all of that. Let's move on right now. The Super Falcons are going to face South Africa in the CAF playoff on Thursday. This is it's a very serious match. It's very crucial for Nigeria. If we do not win this game, our hope for the 2027 Women's World Cup is over. Going into, you're in the team with the team, you know what's going on in Morocco. Tell us directly from you, what's it like with the team? They're having a training session by 5 p.m. What's the mood like with the team? What are recent informations you've gotten from the team going into this game against South Africa?
So I feel like the team, they felt the defeat more than even the fans. But the fans would think they feel the defeat more than the team because their heads has been very down. You understand? Unlike the team that I know, after a game, 5-10 minutes later, everybody's online, posting, chatting, snap, and that. I did a backup follow on them, and I noticed that 24 hours post-match, I didn't see anybody online. No jokes. So that is to tell you that the loss is reflecting in these players, even though we can't see it as much. They wanted these tickets, they wanted these shortcuts. They wanted to just get the World Cup tickets. It means a lot for a lot of them. The likes of Odega, Kanu, Oshuala, those players, I believe that the next World Cup will actually be probably their last dance. So they wanted it. These players wanted it. Why for the newbies, they wanted to let me even represent my country in the world stage. Yeah. So by saying that these players are going to come back with hunger, with fire, because they now know that they have just one chance. So they are trying to put their head in between the hole of a needle to get a ticket, which needs 100% focus.
Sure.
More than just determination now, focus. And I think they've been focused, and they know what Nigerians want for them. They know they've asked Nigerians. Nigerians has come at them back to back. And basically, I think the coach now needs to make a very tough decision moving forward.
Okay, that's interesting from you, Nelly. We hope to see how this turns out for the Super Falcons. For the sake of time, before I let you go, just quick one from you. The semi-finals, aside from the CAF playoff, it's sad that the Super Falcons didn't make it to the semi-finals. But for the semi-finals of the 2026 WAFCON, we're seeing the host country Morocco, Algeria, Cameroon, and Malawi. Malawi are debutants. Shout out to the Chawinga sisters who have been, making wave at this tournament. Tell us directly from you, what's your take for these teams that qualify for the semi-finals, and from these 4 teams, which of the 2 teams do you see getting to the finals in Rabat on August 16th?
So, first of all, I would say it's the semis of surprises. You understand? Because I didn't expect to have Algeria there, not to talk of a debutant, the debuting team, Malawi. Also, kudos to the sisters, Chawinga sisters. What was their name?
Chawinga sisters.
But for the first time in a while, we're going to be having a new champion, which is good for the tournament. I remember being live on Nigeria Info on FM, and I said it like that. I don't want the Super Falcons to win the WAFCON number 11. Do you know why? It was already becoming too boring. You understand? Because we just go to the tournament and one country will just go and win. The next edition on that country, the same country go and win. So we wanted to show the competitiveness of the women's football in Africa by having a new winner. But the Nigeria in me wanted the World Cup ticket, which is the semi, would have been okay for us.
Sure.
But these 4 teams remaining, I think if Morocco doesn't win this WAFCON, they might close the door to every other thing, every other tournament. They will not host anything concerning Africa again.
Well, we hope. Nice one from you, Nelly. We hope that Morocco, this doesn't shake them. We saw what happened in Nigeria's final with Morocco in 2024 WAFCON and how that turned out. We've seen AFCON too, what happened. I mean, this is a tight time for Morocco, and we hope to see how the semi-finals turns out. And Nelly, it's been amazing having you on the show, giving us analysis from Morocco on the Super Falcons and the 2026 WAFCON at large. Thank you for joining us on the show, and hopefully we get to see how it turns out on Thursday against the Super Falcons. Maybe I would have you on the show again, because would you be going to watch the Super Falcons against South Africa on Thursday?
If I don't, who will?
All right, Nelly. I'll probably come across to you to get to know how that turns out. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Right. Well, it's been amazing having Nelly on the show with us to give us insights from the Super Falcons camp and, of course, the rundown on the 2026 WAFCON. But it's certainly a heartbreaking time for Nigeria supporters, especially after seeing the Super Falcons title defense come to an end in Morocco. But then the 2027 Women's World Cup campaign is not over for the Super Falcons, where attention now shifts to Nigeria's CAF playoffs clash against South Africa on Thursday, 13th August in Casablanca, and preparations for that crucial encounter are already on the way. But we saw that the Super Falcons media officer, maybe Akinshola, shared an update from the team's camp this morning, early hours of today, confirming that all focus has now shifted to the World Cup playoffs. According to her, the team would hold a training section at 5 p.m. today, and the venue is the Pera Jago Stadium in Casablanca. Now, while the WAFCON campaign may have ended earlier than Nigeria would have wanted, there's still another important assignment ahead for the Super Falcons. Now, the Super Falcons must defeat South Africa in the CAF playoff to earn a place in the Intercontinental playoff. Yes, they have to go from the CAF playoff, defeat South Africa, then earn a place in the Intercontinental playoff, where another opportunity to qualify for the 2027 Women's World Cup awaits. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we shift our attention from international football to club football. Stay with us. Welcome back on the show. Welcome back to the show. We're diving away from international football now to club football. Well, the United States President Donald Trump has now weighed in on the ongoing controversy surrounding the FIFA president Gianni Infantino. Now, Trump has publicly thrown his support behind Infantino, warning that replacing the FIFA president would be a terrible mistake. Now, the FIFA president Gianni Infantino has been under increasing pressure following the collapse of the Football Forward Enterprise, also known as the FFE proposal, which sought to commercialize FIFA's major competitions. Now, this fallout has led to growing calls for Infantino's resignation, with UEFA, CONCACAF, and the Asian Football Confederations among those calling for a change in FIFA's leadership. Now, Norway's Football Federation also called for Infantino to step down. But FIFA has since abandoned the FFE plan following strong opposition from several football bodies and concerns over how the proposal was handled. But while pressure continues to mount on Infantino, Trump has come out firmly in his defense. In a statement shared on social media, the United States president praised Infantino's leadership and backed the decision to withdraw FFE proposal. He said, FIFA would making a terrible mistake if, for any reason, they even consider replacing President Gianni Infantino. He is fantastic, having just presided over the most successful World Cup by 4 times ever presented. If he's gone, it will never be as successful or profitable again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. Now, this support was not a surprise for many football supporters, considering the relationship between President Trump and Gianni Infantino, particularly with the just completed 2026 FIFA World Cup hosted across the United States, Mexico, and Canada.
Don't need people to compliment you, Mr. President, but this World Cup would not have been such an incredible success without you. Please, your administration, every single person in the White House, in the administration, in the cities, in the states, everywhere contributed to create this safe and secure and joyful environment to live something that the world has never seen. This has not just been and is not just the greatest World Cup of all times. It is the greatest human, social, and cultural event that mankind has ever witnessed.
Now, as we continue to follow this developing conversation surrounding the FIFA president, we keep an eye on what comes next for the FIFA president Gianni Infantino and the direction of football governing body as the 2026-2027 football season gets underway. Yes, we're almost back to club football. The pre-seasons are already underway, and we hope to see where this matter ends before club football gets into season fully. But that's all we have for you on Sportscope today. Thank you for staying with us, and thank you Tanari Nelly for joining us on the show. It's been a pleasure to have you, and it's also been a pleasure to bringing you the latest updates in sports. I am Amarachi Odinaka for our live news. Have a wonderful day.